So I was talking to a friend today, and we came up with some ideas or concept ideas for season 6. Now, my name's Draculaw44. I appreciate you taking the time to stop by and actually watch the video. But what we wanted to do is to bring some new ideas to Season 6 of Apex Legends. Scarily enough, the time has passed really quick, and it's literally about a month, or just less than a month at the time of recording, left to the end of the season. So we wanted to sort of like come up with some new ideas, add some new concepts, some new things that would make the game much more interesting and much more varied and different. Don't get me wrong, this game is fantastic in many ways, but let's face it, we all like a little bit of variation in our lives, we like differences, and we like to have new things because it keeps us interested and people coming back to the game. And the more people back in the game, the more people playing, the more popular it is, and the better for those players who are dedicated. So before I get into those concept ideas, do remember to never stop moving, never stop believing, and stay Apex. So let's get into those concept ideas. So one thing that I thought of was actually second ultimates for all the legends. So naturally, Respawn would need to try and make these balanced, otherwise they could break the game due to some legends being insane right now. For example, like Revenant, Gibraltar, Wraith, those time legends. So I do realise that these would have to be balanced, and it's not perfect. However, I think this would be a really good idea to open up a bit more option. Now, the idea would be is that instead of pressing, or on PlayStation it's L1 and R1 together. I'm not sure what it is for the other console and PC, but whatever it is to do the ultimate for the legend, there would be a different option. So it might be like L1 and left, or L1 and down, or something that isn't used much, that sort of thing together to kind of activate that second legend. Now, for example, I mean, a good one here was like Bloodhound. So Bloodhound normally does his, of course, as we know, his Beast of the Hunt, where he's really loud, and of course those things, which is an aggressive kind of one. But then as a sort of like a team benefit, what he does is he actually, instead of doing that, he uses the Ravens to actually scan a larger area radius. So it's like a bigger scan, basically, that he can currently do. It lasts for about 8 to 10 seconds, so you can actually see the movement of the legends and enemies and things like that. And of course, it would then be something that would give a team advantage to basically enable you to kind of see where enemies are, gain advantage, you know, add a bit more complexity to the character, because I suppose like Bloodhound in a way is very basic. I mean, maybe it wouldn't make him actually overly too much different, but however, it would be a really good team benefit and something that would help in particular ways to maybe win those fights and just add on those kind of things. A second ultimate for Mirage. Now that would be an easy one actually, because they could just do a mix of his new and old. He goes invisible for 10 seconds, but he is not able to fight or decloak like he used to. But the decoys leave footprints, so Bloodhound can't track them as easily, and maybe they could have a tiny bit of health just to make it look like they were, you know, a real Mirage rather than, you know, a decoy. Again, I'm sure that there are better ideas like that you could build on that, and these, as I say, they aren't totally finished. And I'm sure that there are some brilliant comments that you guys can write below that maybe can elaborate on these ideas. But these are just basic ones at the moment, and I'll be posting other videos with more in-depth ones as I kind of think about them and kind of go through it. For example, with Crypto, quite easily he could actually EMP himself. I said this on actually another video. So he could EMP himself instead of needing the drone. The downside is it can still affect him, so that wouldn't change the way he does it, but it doesn't need the drone actually out, and if the drone is being destroyed, it does not matter, he could still EMP. But if he's within the radius, it'll hurt him, but his teammates are then unaffected. So you just allow teammates to push in, say, like into a building, and you don't need the drone to actually do it. It would allow kind of like a benefit there. And that is kind of like just a couple of ideas. The other one, this one was actually kind of a mixture of my idea and my friend Pickle Vipers. So originally he said, let's give Gibraltar a kind of like a reflecting shield, so that then, apart from energy weapons, he doesn't take damage for a small duration. My response to that was, I don't think we need to give anything like that to Gibraltar, because he's already incredibly overpowered. Why would we do that? That would just make him ridiculous, no chance. But then when we sort of discussed it and things, I said, well, what about Lifeline? So Lifeline is using her passive to, say, revive someone, she's able to use her ultimate at the same time, or, you know, as it's doing it. And then what it would do is that the shield would actually, like, go round the player that you're reviving, which would reflect bullets except for energy weapons. And then they would get a little bit more health and shield when they're revived to get them back in the fight. Maybe that would be too strong, and maybe that would be a bad idea. But it was just something that I thought was a lot better than giving Gibraltar that kind of thing, because that would just be insanely ridiculous. Okay, so the next idea was actually my friend's Pickle Vipers, and fair play, I thought these were quite good actually. So he suggested a silenced submachine gun. So instead of a machine gun like the R99 that makes a lot of noise, it's more silence. I mean, maybe it does have firing sound effects, of course, like anything, but it just means that it's less loud and would be slightly harder to locate. I think that would be really cool and very interesting. And that could be like a light weapon as well, or even a heavy. I mean, it wouldn't really matter too much. Definitely not an energy, as long as it's not one of those, that would be fine. He then did suggest dual-wielding pistols, so maybe some new pistols, but they were dual-wielding. I think there had been a kind of a suggestion of something called an akimbo hop-up, where it allowed you to wield Mozambiques dually. So I don't think it's like a totally new idea, but he hadn't really heard of that, and I think dual-wielding pistols would be quite cool. So some new guns, maybe like Desert Eagles type guns or Magnums or something like that, would be pretty cool. So I thought that was really nice, and you know, and a new assault rifle would be really good as well. Now, I didn't really come up with an exact idea on assault rifle, so I'd love to hear if you've got any thoughts about an assault rifle and maybe what it could do, what type of ammo it would take. You know, things like that. Maybe not too gimmicky, but just kind of like a normal weapon, but just something that maybe, you know, like the Hemlock has single fire and burst fire. Could that have something different? That would be really, really cool. Right, okay, so the next part then of the ideas was actually regarding limited time mode. So they weren't ones that weren't linked to collection events. Now, the first one I will mention is solo. Maybe this doesn't need to be a limited mode, but I know that they've said in the past that this wasn't a very popular mode and people didn't like it. But truthfully, I thought it was a really good mode, and I think it should be in any game. I just don't understand why it's not even in there. There isn't much else to say about solo mode. What are your thoughts about solo? Do you like solo mode? Would you like it to be there? Would you like that option, or are you totally against it and do you prefer to be just in teams or duos, etc.? Just that sort of thing. So the other one then was a little bit of a different idea. This would be like a limited time mode. So it'd be a game where when you down a legend, and this would be a smaller amount of legends, maybe 30 to 40 within a certain random area. So it's not like a big map that we normally get on like World's Edge or King's Canyon, although that is a smaller map. And what happens is that once they've been killed the first time, they actually then join your team. Once they're killed the second time, then they can be revived if they are knocked down, but if they are killed and not revived, then they are eliminated completely. So the winner at the end is the person who's still alive at the end, or if the time runs out, because there'd be like a certain time limit, of course, then it's the one with the highest amount of kills. No, it would not give you any 20 kill badges, because they'd have to make sure that that was not included, because that would really devalue, you know, anyone getting a 20 bomb in a game. But it would be really interesting, because again, it would add a kind of like a new dimension in the sense of, you know, it would be people that are able to get more kills. You know, you then would be having like allies, the ones that you've then downed, etc. And then it would have an elimination process, but you'd still gain XP and things like from it. So the idea would be to win. I'd love to see some prizes for winning these games as well, to be honest. But again, I don't know if they would do that, where they would add a skin that you'd only get by winning these type modes. It would be pretty cool. So just something to add there. The other one would be then Caustic's gas infection. Now, we all love Caustic, as we all know. We all love his gas. Oh yeah. So this would be an interesting one to have. Now, this concept is kind of taken from an old game called Time Splitters. I don't know if you guys will have played it or not, but I used to love, there was a virus mode in that, and I used to absolutely love it. It used to be my favourite mode within that game. Sadly, Time Splitters, the company that made it, discontinued, kinda, and I haven't ever made another one, which is a real shame. So I'd love to see that in there. Now, the idea would be that with Caustic gas infection, it would be an all against all mode. One player, when they are selected in, would be randomly selected as a Caustic if someone didn't choose Caustic anyway, which is fine. he can lay traps and he can use his ultimate. Now, if caught in a gas trap or hit by the Caustic himself, because he'd have like an infectious arm, like punch-like thing, then that player becomes infected. That means then that once they're infected, they can then move faster, so kind of like shadows, and they can't die. If they're killed, they have a certain amount of health. If they die, then they just respawn in, where they just, fly in like normal and restart, but they're still infected. There is a time limit, and surviving non-infection legends, so legends that aren't infected by this, then have to work together to survive Caustic's gas onslaught. And then it becomes whether the Caustic's team of infected people and Caustic win, or whether the non-infected legends win. So it'd be a bit like the Shadow Legends, if you remember the Halite Levine event in a way, mixed with Virus and Caustic, but I think it would be a really, really fun and cool event. I know that in Time Splitters it was so much fun, it was insane, so definitely one that I wanted to kind of add on there. So with the other parts then, it would be a really, really good idea to kind of have sort of like a mode where you could choose your weapons. So you can choose the 2 weapons that you use in the match, and you can't change them. You just pick up more ammo. Not all weapons are available, and that would be things like the Peacekeeper, the Kraber, the Devotion, those type things, just the standard guns. Evo shields would be the only shield in there, and then you could have it as either a team mode or a solo mode. I reckon this one would be good as a team mode, actually. I think this would be really good. So you could either choose duo or trios. Yeah, probably trios, or maybe even 4. Have a team of 4 for a change, because we haven't had a team of 4 yet, and that would be really, really cool as well. So, in like my case, I mean, personally, my favourite kind of guns would be either the Spitfire and the Evo 8, because I do like the Evo 8 as a shotgun. I think it's really good. Or the Hemlock and the R99. Now, other people would have different preferences. They might say, well, I prefer the R301 and the Prowler with a select fire. Be interesting to see whether that mode would allow you to have all the hop-ups, because I think that would be a bit too OP. So I think it would just have to be the standard guns. But however, maybe the hop-ups would still be findable within the map, so it wouldn't change in that respect. But I think that would be really, really cool as well. So yeah, I mean, like, obviously with these kind of ideas, I think that would be a really interesting one. And the last one, credit to Pickle Viper, because some of these ideas, like I said, the last one about the picking up the 2 weapons, and this one actually was his. Some of these were my idea as well, so we worked together. As I say, he's a good friend of mine, and we talk a lot about Apex and a lot about ideas and things, and I like to, of course, be honest and say that these were his ideas rather than mine. So the other limited time mode that he did suggest was where you could only kill someone with a finisher. Now, whether this would be a team mode or a solo mode, I don't know, but it would be quite interesting to kind of see, and that would be something that I would kind of be very intrigued to sort of see your comments below and see what you thought, because would that work? I mean, doing just finishes, would having different finishes for different characters with heirlooms be a good idea? I've heard that one before, so I mean, again, I would love to hear your thoughts on that one and sort of see what you thought. But those are mainly my kind of ideas regarding some of the things. Now, I will be thinking of new ones. I'm going to come up with definitely some more concept ideas for Apex Legends, because I feel with the game at the moment, it is a really good game. We're getting a new map, Season 6, which was revealed in the story mode, or it looks like that's the way. For those who haven't played story mode, play it, because obviously it'll be a really good thing to learn about it, and I'll be covering the story modes at some point as well, just kind of going through the dialogue and what was said when I can. But yeah, I mean, like, that is mainly it for sort of ideas so far. I mean, is there anything else that I've missed? Anything else that you'd like to add? Any second ultimate ideas that you'd like to add for people or legends like Octane, Wraith, Gibraltar, things like that wouldn't be maybe ridiculous and OP, but would kind of be just a really, really good idea. So that is it for my ideas currently. Hopefully you found them informative and interesting. I do like to try and bring different content to you guys than other YouTubers, because again, it's something that is always nice to be a little bit more unique ideally, and I do try my very best to do that. Now currently, unfortunately, I'm still a smaller YouTuber, so of course I'm stuck with 47 subs at the moment. So if you did find the video interesting and informative, and you enjoyed it, and you enjoyed the kind of content that I'm producing. Any extra subscribers would really help. I'm trying to push to at least 50, and then I can grow from there. So if there is any ideas that I've missed or anything else you'd like to add, please do take the time to comment below. If there's any other feedback you want to leave or anything else that I could have done better, again, I'm always eager to learn, and that would be absolutely amazing and appreciated. But otherwise, do remember to never stop moving, never stop believing, and stay Apex. So that is it from me for this particular video. I will be posting other ones very soon. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch, and I shall see you in the next video. You take care. Cheers now. Bye.